All right, today we're going to be changing the brakes and rotors on this GMC Terrain, 2014 GMC Terrain. So we have a few things that we'll be doing. We'll be taking off the tire first, and since I'm only cameraman, I'll be doing the video, but it won't be a continued video. I will be pausing and stopping. But you can see right there from the outside, the rotor is going to need to be replaced. It's wore out from brake pads, and how bad it is behind there, we will find out shortly. So, got my jack and my jack stand. I'm going to jack it up and get the jack stand on. Then we'll go through and take off the lug nuts and see what we're going to do after that. Now, for me, I like to take my my jack stand. I like to place it right there on the, more so at the back of the edge of the A-frame of the whole assembly here, and that gives me a little support just in case the jacks or anything else does fail. The A-frame is going to hold it real good for you. And I'm using just one of my handy tools here. It's not an advertisement for Bear, but to take the lug nuts off, I used my older handy dandy reliable 4-way to break them. And I use these to tighten them up. So this is a size 22 for this vehicle that I'm actually working on for the lug nuts. So we're gonna get them ringed off real quick and see what we have back behind here. And for the sake of the video, I'm just dropping them on the ground. I can come back and get them. I know where they're at. Use the tire for a seat, and as I said earlier, you can see the wear and tear on the front of the rotor. Some people turn them. This customer decided to get them replaced. Now we got to move to the caliper here, and there's one bolt here. We're going to find out what size it is. Looks like a 13 or a 14, but I'm not sure. And the second one here. So we're going to take this one off first and see if it allows me just to raise it up this way without having to take him out, but we'll find out as well. And if there be any other issues, it may be right here. You can't see it on the video, but when you look at it, it's got like a hexagon, like a stop sign. So I may have to take a wrench and hold this while I break this one. Same way at the top if it is an issue. So let me get my tools together and be right back. And this is size 14. I'm using my swivel here just because it's got a lot of leverage on it, and these bolts on these calibers shouldn't be that super tight anyway. Sometimes they can be, but most times I recommend you don't use a ratchet. That one's been broken, so I'm gonna take him out. There wasn't no issue with that. Let's see, we're able to pull the caliber up. Able to pull the caliber up. Sometimes if it gets stuck or get hard right up in here, hoping you can see that in the video, you can get your screwdriver or something to help pry it out, pull it out. But if that doesn't work, sometimes you can get in here on the brakes, actually inside of that hole, and pry back this away with a screwdriver or along something with a flat end to grab it and put the caliber in some to release the tension off of it. But I was able to take it off, and I'm able to lift my top one up without having to take the top bolt out or loosen the top bolt, mess with it. So I was able to swivel up. Here's our caliber here, and the brake pad don't look that bad wore out, but the rotor does. So still gonna replace them. So all I have to do is take these out. So I'm gonna get something and hang this up, but normally I wouldn't do it, to be honest. But just for safety reasons, or because of the video, I can hold it up with my right hand and watch the flip and take the brake pads out. And I usually set them back down in the way that I took them off on the ground in the front of the rotor or the front of the tire. And I would take my back one out and notice that the clips on it, or the pins, indicator here, let you know that you're way past the point of replacing your brakes. That is makes a screeching noise. but remember which way they went on. That's all, just a little helper. And so now all I have to do, flip the phone back over, replace the brake. Before I replace the brakes, I have to take out this bolt. I'm gonna find out what size it is. Looks like a 19. And the other one at the top right here. And that's gonna release this whole bracket here with the caliper. And then the rotor will come straight off. The rotor comes straight off. It releases this whole caliper. Sorry about that. And this is the bracket the caliper sits in. So I could take it off. And if this works the way it should be, I should be able to pull him straight off and allow this to hang. Take this off, allow this to hang, and then take the two bolts out, take the bracket off, and then replace the rotor. Another thing I forgot about, I went in the inside and turned the wheel, the driver's side, facing to the left, and it gives you better accessibility, or give you better access to the working area. And that size is an 18 on the back of the caliper here, caliper bracket that holds it here, right here and right here. So I got my bigger ratchet. Let's see, can we get it broke? That's a little longer there. Yeah, F1. There's two. And for the sake of time, I'm only gonna record the driver's side, and everything that I'm showing you, you do the same thing on the passenger side. It'll be the same process for the front and for the back. And whenever you do it too, watch out for your ABS sensor wire that comes all the way through here and hooks up on the other side. Just make sure you're not yanking and pulling on the caliper. It will. It's not gonna break from hanging there. I've seen a lot of video where people would take the caliper and hang it up and keep it out of suspension. But long as this right here ain't cracked and dried and air rotted and wore out, you don't have to worry about it. But I'm going to set the phone down again, take the two bolts out so I can take the actual bracket out, and then we'll take the rotor off. And there's a T30 bolt that goes right here. Take that out before you can take the rotor off. Oh, before we do that, look at the back of it as well. See how the back is guard up just as bad as the front is. So, yeah. And I use my impact wrench once I break them off. This impact wrench itself, I found out that it works better to tighten than it does to break loose on certain bolts. So now that I have the two bolts out, the top and the bottom bolt, and taking off the bracket, let's see about this T30 and getting it broke loose. Okay, I'm gonna have to go do it with two hands. I'm gonna set the phone down again. Next thing I like to do is compare the brakes, or compare the products. Make sure you got the right ones, the same ones. Then we go over with the rotor. We do the same thing with the rotor. Make sure and inspect that they're the same ones. This is another thing that I do. I take brake cleaner and spray all around here. Wipe it off. I don't have no clean towel, but I'm gonna use paper towels. Flip it over and do the same thing. So let's get to it. What this does, it has sometimes a clear coating on there, and it keeps the brakes from smoking whenever you first replace them on the rotor. Sometimes people don't know that. They may complain of issues with smoke being on the coming from the tires, thinking something wrong with the brakes, and it's not. And if that happens, you just continue to drive it, and it'll wear off and stop. It's no issue. So now we're going to install them back. first thing I'm going to do though is make sure I have all the lines, the pins line up, and then that hole there in the middle. Make sure all of my studs line up and the holes up there whenever I really put it back on. So here we go, hold on. And everything lines back up. So we go back in reverse and put everything back. We'll be putting our T30 back in. Set it right there for a moment. Got you. Yeah, if you had a little hand drill or a little impact wrench, you could have put it back in with that too, but I'm not sweating. I'm not going to get it. I got everything I need here. Okay, real snug. So the next thing we're going to do is install the bracket back. I'm going to put my 2 bolts back in here at the back, so I only can do that with one hand. Went ahead and took my impact and tightened those bolts back up, and they were size 18 if I didn't mention that earlier. So now I'm going to install the brakes, front and the back ones here. Give me 1 second. And I've pre-matched the pads with this replacement, so I'm installing it back in with this indicator back pointed at the bottom on the back of the brake pad. That way over here with this too. And you just push up on the rotor real tight. Same thing with the front one. It has these notches here that it rolls on, that it slides on for these brake pads. The way it has this little square piece, everything has this little rifle spot to get into. So now I'm gonna install the brake caliper back on itself, now that we got the bracket back on. And you just make sure that you're gonna slide him back in. If you had grease, you can re-grease that, but don't have it. Okay, and that's how it will go back in, but before we do that, we gotta push the caliper back and to get enough room for it to make it past the brake pads. So, and what I use is the old brake pad and set it right there inside the caliper to push up against it. And I use a C-clamp, which like I said, I won't be able to show you here, to put it on. And as I tighten the C-clamp up, it will push the caliper in that way, and it gives me clearance room to make it past the brake pads in order to put the caliper back on. And this is what the setup looked like with the caliper on it. I've pushed it all the way back in. So I'll be taking off the C-clamp. Cue the footage. Removing that old brake pad out of the way. And now I'm putting him back together. I'll slide him all the way in. Should have clearance now for him just to fall back in. And down here at the bottom, the only thing stopping it is this fella here. Push it in and it'll fall in. And I'm going to replace this bolt. And then this front brake and rotor job is done. I'll replace the tire back on it, then we'll be right back at the rear. Now I've repositioned the jack to the back of the rear of the driver's side, and I'm gonna be taking off these same way we did take off the tire. Then we'll get behind here and see what side bolt we need for the caliper, which sits on the higher, then on more so on the side, it sits up here, and into the bracket that it sits in, and then we get the rotor changed. And we can see here, as I was saying earlier, the caliper sits more on top of the wheel than on the side of the wheel. I have a size 14 bolts here, 14 here, but we're going to do the same thing. Take this one off so we'll let it lift us up and take the brakes out. And then we'll come back here to the brace bracket for the caliper. Find out what size those are, take those off because they're not 18s. And just like the front with that bolt out of the, it does allow me to raise it up and lift it up, and we can remove the brake pads from the rear. We're going to compare those with the other ones when we get ready to install them, but placing them back in their position the way they come off at the back. Okay, then we do have another T30 here. Let to break him loose in order to take the rotor off. Just wanted to mention that. And we're going to find out what size bolts these are. We're going to take this 14 for a measurement. So it's not a 14, I'm going to try a 15. I'll be right back. And it is a size 15. I use my ratchet to break the top one here, that bolt right here, and there's not enough room for a ratchet back here for, say, let me get it where you can see it right here. This right here is going to stop a lot of the movement in between here and there, so I had to use a wrench. I'm going to get my pipe, put on the end down here to get it to break. And once we do that, we'll take off the back bracket and brake caliper, and then we will start on the rotor. Okay, I was able to find my 15, which I thought I didn't have, my short 15. You can use it there if you got a breaker bar, and a 15 you can do it as well. So I'm gonna ratchet him off and ratchet the other one off up there, and then get this taken off. Okay, got those top and bottom bolts out. Got the actual caliper sitting up here out of the way. Now the bracket can come off. Those are the two bolts that come out of it. Had some locks, C's lock on it. So it's probably the first time they've been taken off. Hope you see it here too, all the wear and tear on the front of it. And a little on the back here. I don't know if you can see all of that. So we're gonna take off the T30 and compare these two, which they do look the same. And this one also has an extra plug down here at the bottom that I'll be taking out and replacing it on the other side of the other rotor over here, and I'll show you that when I get to it. So let me get this one off. Okay, so I'm gonna be doing my comparison as well. So you can see the little black thing here will go right here, and then that's where my T30 goes. I don't know if you can tell it or look on here, but it has a little greasy film on it, so that's why I sprayed a brake cleaner on there and clean off it before I install it. And before I put the rotor back on, I want you to see that this right here and all of this on the side here, these are your parking brakes. So if you had to replace your parking brakes, you would be right there at them. And if, say, they didn't have the caliper and had this and they had shoes, you would have to take off your rotor like we did now to get to actually changing the shoes, what looks just like the same setup what they're using for parking brakes or emergency brakes. Emergency brakes, I meant. No, those are parking brakes, and got the same little setup there. But I'm going to put the rotor back on to finish this install of the brakes and complete this job. Give me 1 second. Now we're gonna, I got it installed back in with the T30. I'm gonna take and put the caliper back on. I mean, not the caliper, but the bracket for the caliper. I've returned and replaced the bolts back in the bracket, and we got it firmly put in now. I'm going to install the comparator brakes and then install them back in. So get down to the comparisons. There. And that's one without it. Let's compare it with the front brake. That's a match. And what do we have here? Not a match. Go over here and get the match for this one. And it was just the other one in the box. So they made it up. Real simple install. They just slide right in. And the rear goes that way with your indicator there. And now we push our caliper back here. As you can see, I don't know if I did it good on the front one. You can see the gated lip there is pushed out some. And when I get it pushed back in, I'll show you what it looks like. And as before, it's the same setup with the C-clamp, using it to push back on the brake pad so you don't damage the caliper. Or you could actually take it and let the C-clamp go all the way in the inside of there and squeeze it in as well. Just showing you a couple of ways of doing it. So I'm gonna place him back. Oh, and sorry, you can see the caliper is pushed all the way back in flush with the rubber. So they should have plenty of spacing for the clearance of the brake pads. And now I'm gonna put that one bolt back in right there. I'm gonna install the tire and it'll be complete. But from what I'm gonna show you today, I'm gonna go to the other side and do the same thing and move a little faster for myself. But once you get all that taken care of and put your tire back on and get all four sides done, or if you're just doing the fronts or you're doing the backs, start your engine on your car, and before you do anything, go ahead and press the brakes several times to make sure that you have the right amount of pressure on your brakes too. So I want to thank you for joining In the Circle Ministries today on our how-to videos. So share, like, subscribe, share this information with someone so as they can have it to be able to do it themselves as well. It's not a hard and difficult thing. You just have to get down there and get to it. But thank you and have a great day.